right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello, hello, and welcome. Hello and welcome. Welcome to another episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. My name is Otis Landerholm, and I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. And welcome to another one of our live sessions here on today's episode of the Empowered Immigrant Live. Today, our theme is going to be what all immigrants need to know about the U.S. Supreme Court's recent big decisions. Okay? And so thank you for tuning in and welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Remember, the Empowered Immigrant Live is here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants to make the most out of immigration laws and to make the most out of their lives. Okay? Today, again, our theme is what all immigrants need to know about the Supreme Court's recent big decisions. Okay? And my question for everybody always is, hey, do you want to get a green card? Do you want to apply for a U visa? Do you want to apply for asylum? Do you want some kind of solution to your immigration situation? Because if so, go for it. All right? Go for that solution. At least get help. At least get a consultation. At least get advice so that you can help navigate all of these changes that are happening in the world of immigration law. And if my office can help you in any way with that, we would love to help you. All right? Our office's mission is to win 10,000 immigration cases in the next 10 years. We would love for your case to be one of them. Okay? So thanks to everyone for being here. If you have questions while I'm talking, feel free to submit your questions. I'll do my best to answer them all right here, right now, live. It is the 1st of July of 2025. We are now past halftime, folks. We are now in the second half of this year. This year is moving very quickly. And thank you all so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me for today's session of the Empowered Immigrant Live. Just in the last 6 months, if you just think about it, think about all of the changes that have happened. All right, the Laken Riley Act was signed into law. All right, Trump ordered the National Guard to the U.S. border. ICE started going with its mass deportation efforts. Right, Trump announced a new gold card. Trump announced a new registration requirement. All right, they fired the acting director of ICE and replaced him. All right, they created a new travel ban, which is right now in effect. They canceled TPS for 350,000 people. They canceled all the Haitian, Nicaraguan, Venezuelan, and what am I missing? CHNV, sorry. Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela parole programs. 500,000 people lost their lawful immigration status in one day when the Supreme Court agreed with the termination of the CHNV parole programs. They've deported people under the Alien Enemies Act. The list goes on and on, folks. Riots in LA, Project Homecoming, you name it. All right? And we're just getting started, right? We're just in the first 6 months of this new administration. And we really are going to be in for a lot of change and a lot of these types of episodes, right, over the course of the next 4 years. And so thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. My goal is to empower folks through all these changes. All right? And so thank you for being here, and I hope to be able to do that. And as I said, if you've got questions, feel free to submit them. I'll do my best to answer them. Okay? So let's talk about the Supreme Court decisions. Okay? The two that I really want to talk about, the first is the decision allowing Trump to deport people to third countries. All right? And this was directly involving a case where they had deported people that were not from the South Sudan to the South Sudan. And there was a lawsuit that got filed saying, hold that airplane. And DHS said, oh, sorry, plane has already left. But they held the plane in the country of Djibouti in Eastern Africa on a military base, U.S. military base. And that plane was held until the Supreme Court a week and a half ago decided to allow the Trump administration to move forward and deport people that have no connection whatsoever with the South Sudan to that country. All right, first time in history a decision like that has come down. The second big Supreme Court decision to discuss today is regarding birthright citizenship, and that came out just last week, on Friday of last week. In both of these cases, and the thing I want to communicate is this, in both of these cases, the Supreme Court didn't say there's no more birthright citizenship. And they didn't say that it's 100% okay to deport people to third countries. Okay? Instead, the Supreme Court is saying that the injunctions against the government's action, the government's orders, was not the right way to stop those orders. Okay? In other words, the government will be allowed to proceed with its executive orders, right, until the court actually strikes down the legality of these orders. The quote-unquote injunctions that had been in place are not going to fly. It's a little bit confusing, but that's what the Supreme Court said. The problem is that to review the actual merits, to review the actual constitutionality of these orders within the federal court system will take a long time, months, sometimes years. Okay? And so it really is a disappointment that the U.S. Supreme Court has sided with the Trump administration and taken this key power away from the federal courts. This power to say, no, the Trump administration is overextending its authority under the U.S. Constitution. The Trump administration is doing things that's illegal, and so we're going to stop it. The Supreme Court has taken away one of the tools that the lower courts have always had to say when the government does things that are unlawful. All right? Which is very disappointing. But that's what I stand. Now the fight's not over. All right? You'll notice regarding the birthright citizenship thing rule, you'll notice that the ACLU and other groups immediately have filed a quote-unquote class action lawsuit. All right? And so instead of going for an injunction, they're going for a class action, which means they're going to say, hey, all of the members in the United States of these, of people that would be affected by either of these orders are, as a class, suing the government and asking the court to intervene. And so we're going to see how the class action argument holds up and how that works its way towards the U.S. Supreme Court. And the fight's not over, right? In many ways, it's just heating up. And you probably saw the news today, right? And you probably have been seeing the news these last few weeks. Because right now we've got the big, beautiful bill, quote unquote, right? It's not beautiful, it's ugly, folks. But it is big. And big is correct. Not beautiful, ugly. It's the big, ugly bill, but they call it the big, beautiful bill. And it has now passed the Senate, and it's now heading back to the House. And they want to have a final vote on it before the 4th of July, which is Friday. It's like very close to passing. If it passes, all right, it will increase the budget by $350 billion for ICE to detain and deport people. Okay? It's like that astronomical amount of money will go into the to ICE's budgeting, and talk about bigger detention centers, talk about more ICE officers. Um, that bill is very ugly, and it's very close to passing. So you want to pay attention to the news as it comes forward this week. And Congress, you may have seen this, they're considering and they're proposing having a DUI, driving under the influence of alcohol, conviction become an inadmissibility ground. All right, a waivable, I-601 waiver, a waivable inadmissibility ground. And so that'll limit a lot of people's ability to get green cards even if they're married to U.S. citizens, because a lot of people have had DUIs in the past. All right? Like, it's a very common conviction, even if people didn't intend or even if there was no harm involved, even if people accepted the plea just because they wanted to get out of there, So anyway, that's something that we all need to watch. We all need to be mindful of. We all need to be aware of. And that's what's happening. If you're tuning in right now, thank you so much for being here. Okay, my name's Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C., where we fight for your American dream. I'm a certified specialist in immigration law, and I own an amazing law firm that fights for the rights of immigrants. Okay, and so we're based in Oakland, California, but we handle cases throughout the United States. If we can help you in any way with your legal issue, your legal question, whatever, feel free to give us a call, okay? It just so happens that our calendar is basically full for the next month because of everything that's happening right now, but nevertheless, feel free to give us a call and just schedule that appointment. Get your appointment on the calendar so that when the time comes when we're available, we can make it happen. Okay? All right, that's all I got to say for right now. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate each of you. Let me know what questions you have, and I will do my best. All right? Let's see. I got one from Ludasad. All right? You say, are all undocumented immigrants that cross the border ineligible for adjustment of status? Thanks. No. The answer to your question is no, but the vast majority of them are. Okay? Remember that in order to be eligible for a quote-unquote adjustment of status, you must have been inspected, admitted, or paroled into the United States. Okay, inspected, admitted, or paroled into the United States. You have to be allowed in to the United States by an immigration officer. So when can an undocumented immigrant be inspected and admitted or paroled? That is a very nuanced set of people that were waved through. All right, if you're waved through by a Border Patrol official because maybe they thought you had documents, or maybe you looked like you were from the United States, or for whatever reason, this happens a lot when people are driving cars. Doesn't happen so much anymore, but in the past, I've had lots of clients that were in this situation where they were a passenger in a car and the car got waved in. Those people don't have documents, so they are undocumented, but they are arguably eligible for adjustment of status because they were inspected, admitted, or paroled. They were allowed in to the United States. All right, that's one exception. The other exception is for people that had a petition filed and pending before April 30th of 2001. So these are old petitions who were physically present in December of the year 2000. Those folks are eligible under an old law called 245I. And so those people can adjust. Otherwise, everyone else that's undocumented in the United States will not be eligible to adjust status, and they'll need to consular process. Ludasad, thank you for asking that question. I hope that my answer was helpful. Okay? And if you think that you might be eligible to adjust status, hey, we'd love to help you. Okay? Luna Baby, I see your question. ¿Por qué DHS le manda decir al juez que niegue mi moción de reapertura? Okay, why did DHS, all right, require or say to the judge that, ask the judge to deny my motion to reopen? Good question. Why did DHS and the judge deny my motion to reopen? Why did my motion to reopen get denied? Okay, the answer to your question is it depends on a lot of different things and how well your motion to reopen was done. And DHS right now is not willing to join pretty much any motion to reopen. So I'm not surprised that DHS will deny it. But why did the judge deny it? All right, and what were the arguments? What were the legal bases for your motion to reopen? Motions to reopen right now are not easy, all right? We've got to prepare them. They got to be like 300 pages thick of a motion, okay? And so we're not talking, it's not a simple thing to just, hey, judge, please reopen my case. Motions to reopen, it means there's already a deportation order issued. Judges don't like to reopen those cases. And so to move or to request the judge to reopen a case takes a lot of nuanced work. And you know, I won a very complex motion to reopen. My office won a very complex motion to reopen for a gentleman with a deportation order who was detained by ICE. And we won that motion, and we continue to now fight that case for asylum in immigration court. But so motions to reopen are possible, but they are not easy. Okay. Danny Noir 899, you say, how easy will it be to denaturalize a person now? Thank you for asking this. You know, the Trump administration does continue to say that they are wanting to denaturalize certain people. The thing to be worried about if you're a U.S. citizen is if you got your citizenship through fraud. If there was a lie, a misrepresentation, something, or maybe an arrest that you did not disclose, right, to the government. Yes, I was arrested, but I checked the box saying, no, I was not arrested. Things like that will enable the government to file federal court action to denaturalize a person, and you can fight about that, right? It's not procedurally, it is not easy for the federal government to just denaturalize someone. It's a federal court complaint. It's a process, which means that a person has the right to contest that denaturalization process, and you'll need a lawyer, and you'll need to fight about it. Right? And you'll need to review all the records and make the arguments, you know. An honest mistake is one thing, and you should not be denaturalized for an honest mistake, but intentional fraud is another thing. And if they can prove that, then they can take away your citizenship, get you your green card status back, but then put you into deportation proceedings potentially. Now, if you're in deportation proceedings at that point, you might be eligible for waivers, okay? And you might be eligible to keep your green card if you can win waivers. But we're talking a process that some people will need to go through. Okay? All right, what other questions are out there? Let's see, Carlos, I may need your help finding questions. I see a couple here on TikTok. Thanks everybody here on TikTok. You say, a double V, I see your question. Am I able to apply for citizenship this month? Is it a good idea? Thank you for asking that question. That's a great question. You know, so if you're eligible to apply for citizenship, then by all means, you should apply for citizenship. All right? I've had clients that I was meeting with just yesterday, and I'm like, yeah, you have a strong case. You have a good case. I don't see risks. I don't see risks of detention. You know, let's request and review all the records first, right, so that we're 100% clear. But as long as you have had a lawful green card for over 5 years, as long as you don't have any arrests, crimes, etc. As long as you have a case, you're a person of good moral character, you paid your taxes, you don't have long exits outside the United States, etc. We go through all the requirements. As long as you meet all the requirements, then yes, apply for citizenship. All right? It is still possible to win citizenship. I won a case with a very complicated case for a gentleman with some criminal past, all right? Even under the Trump administration, it is possible, all right? You just want to be cautious and you want to understand what you're getting yourself into when you apply. Okay, Woman for Christ, I see your question here. Can I be denaturalized for DUIs? I have 2 from 2002 and 2003. Can you be denaturalized for that? The question is, were you honest about them in your case? That's the only question, okay? So as long as you were honest about them in your case when you got your green card or when you won your citizenship, then no, there was no fraud there, right? So as long as so we could request the records and we could go through it very carefully and check when your DUIs happened and check the forms. But honestly, it's unlikely. I think you're good, okay? I think you're good, unless you receive some paperwork from the government that now they're going to try and denaturalize you and put you into federal court proceedings. If that happens, contact a lawyer, all right? Feel free to give me a call. But, otherwise, I would say don't worry about it. Don't lose sleep about being denaturalized. And I hope that I say that for everybody in the United States. Trump is trying to freak people out, all right? The Republican Party is trying to freak people out. In some degree, they're doing a good job of it, okay? But if you are a U.S. citizen, own it. Don't be freaked out by this. Use your vote to freak them out, all right? Like, if you're a U.S. citizen, don't be freaked out. If they file denaturalization papers, get a lawyer, all right? If you are nervous that they might, feel free to get a lawyer. We can review all the records. But if you're already a citizen, you do not need to let their rhetoric, let their garbage worry you, keep you up at night, etc. Like, you've already won your case, all right? For those who are undocumented and for those who are going through an immigration process, you're the folks that I am here to fight for. All right? Yeah, sure. We'll take citizenship cases, and we'll take citizenship cases. We'll take denaturalization cases as they come in. Sure, but the real fight is for our friends, neighbors, family members who may still be trying to get documents. That's the real challenge right now. All right. Zeke, I thought it was Landerholm Irrigation. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. I should start a sprinkler business and use that. That's so good. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's hilarious. No, I am the owner of Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, and we fight for the rights of immigrants. All right? And why? I love people. I love meeting people from other parts of the world. All right? I myself was an immigrant in 5 different countries: Spain, Argentina, Japan, China, and Ecuador. I lived in each of those countries for a certain amount of time before I went to law school. And it's like, I speak Spanish, I speak Mandarin Chinese. I love meeting people from other places, and I wish that I could communicate that to my fellow countrymen, because so many people in the U.S. don't get how amazing people from other places in the world are. All right? So I just want to share that. I see your question. Any detention at the border, not necessarily a deportation, would show up in what FOIAs? Okay, so detention at the border that was maybe a voluntary return will show up in 2 and possibly 3 FOIAs. all right? The third is not technically a quote-unquote. Anyway, Customs and Border Patrol, CBP, all right? Customs and Border Patrol. OBIM, which is the Office of Biometrics and Identity Management. Send your fingerprints to OBIM when you're requesting your FOIAs. And sometimes, and it's not technically a FOIA, but we include it when we run FOIAs, sometimes it'll show up at the FBI. Okay, FBI FOIAs. And so, in my office, we always run those 3 FOIAs. We also run USCIS FOIAs, ICE FOIAs. Sometimes we'll run Department of State FOIAs. Sometimes we'll request records at the state agency. So in California, the Department of Justice of the state of California. Because we want to know the full picture for our clients before we get into anything with the federal government. Okay? I think those are all the questions I got, unless I'm missing any. Yeah, I think that's it. Hey, everyone, thank you so much for being here. All right, it's Tuesday morning. Thank you so much for joining me here right now. It's the 1st of July of 2025. It's like this year is going by super fast. I really disagree with the direction of our president and of our political leadership when it comes to immigration. All right, and I'm here to fight for folks, and my office is here to fight for folks. And we believe that people from other countries actually are amazing. I meet with people every day who truly are amazing human beings, and it's an honor to fight for people. And so if we can help you in any way, please feel free to reach out. Thank you so much for being here. I hope this episode was useful. I hope it was helpful. If it was, hey, take a moment and subscribe to our channel in YouTube. All right, put in Lander Home Immigration into YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Hit that notifications bell too. You can be notified when we upload additional videos, etc. And I really appreciate each and every one of you. Have a very happy 4th of July. It's like Independence Day, right? Have a happy 4th of July this Friday. And yeah, let's all hope for a brighter future, because we do have some darkness around us right now, at least in my world, right? Maybe in yours as well. Hopefully not as much in yours. I wish you the best, all right? Make it a great day. Thank you for being here. I'm Otis Landerholm, Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. Take care. Bye-bye.